Welcome to Whatcha, a podcast about sharing ideas and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams of Type A Furniture and Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. Whatcha is proudly sponsored by Nextwave CNC.
What you making in the shop today? Got a couple Alice's to show you the way, from the blueprints to the shavings on the floor. Pull up a stool, let's see what's in store.
Welcome to What You're Making, a podcast all about what's on our bench. We spotlight makers throughout the community and are here to remind you that nothing is impossible. The word itself is literally spelled I'm possible. Tonight's main topic is finding your niche. I'm Alex Duffey, and you can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft.
And I'm Alex Adams, and I'm probably the right height to be a Stormtrooper, but you probably can't hear me through the helmet. And also, why were you lighting something on fire? What were you?
No, I was just like, lighter because of the song. I don't know.
Okay. I was very confused. I mean, obviously, I tried to confuse you, but
I was like, and for those who are listening, Alex put on a Stormtrooper helmet, which is, par for the course here.
It is. So yeah, I'm Alex over at Type A Furniture on Instagram, and I already forgot your factoid because I have short-term memory loss, probably.
It wasn't really a factoid. It was just a self-encouragement of the word, or nothing is impossible. The word itself is literally spelled I'm possible.
Oh yeah, and I was thinking about Kim Possible because that's an awesome Disney Channel show.
It is.
You know who is possible?
Who?
Our patrons.
Oh, okay.
And I love our patrons. And if you do want to become one of those elite individuals, I think our group of patrons is more elite than people. It's a select group that's even more exclusive than those who have landed on the moon, I believe. So it's a very, very exclusive club.
Very exclusive.
You can access through patreon.com/whatyourmakingshow. So.
And What You're Making Show is proudly sponsored by Nextwave CNC. If you're looking for the best CNC on the market today, look no further than a Shark CNC from Nextwave. For the month of May, Nextwave is running an accessory special. If you purchase any new HD Series 6, you pick an accessory up to $899 for free. Also, Nextwave is doing their project of the month. They're looking for new teachers that of standout projects that will inspire and appeal to a broad base of CNC users. So if you have a project that you want to teach to the masses, reach out to Nextwave on Instagram for more details. If your project is approved and published, they will pay you $500.
What a deal.
What a deal.
What you doing?
So on the bench this week, as I scroll up in my notes here, my UFO Fest is in 4 days, and I am done. I actually got everything done. I'm super excited.
That deserves a golf clap of some kind.
Well, if that's the case, then thank you. So normally I'm making up until like the day before, but I got everything done this past weekend. So it was actually really nice. It was actually a nice, relaxing weekend. I actually got some time off, which was great. But all my UFO
who are
lights,
you and what have you done with Mr. Duffey?
I know, right? All my UFO lights are done. And I got them all boxed up and packaged. And, this past weekend, I spent the time I call it landscaping the UFO lights, which is adding all like the little trees and the Sasquatch and the cows and all that kind of stuff.
I was going to say Squatchscaping.
Yeah, Squatchscaping. Yep. So I got all of those done. So all of the large ones are done. All of the small ones are done and packaged up. I basically just have to load the cars up with all the stuff now. I'm doing a few last minute housekeeping items, like I need to go to the bank to get change for the cash box and make sure that my go bag is stocked and our cooler has lots of drinks in it and that kind of stuff for the day of. But pretty much ready to go, which I'm excited about. So
what's your ratio of like different bill sizes that you typically go with? I'm curious.
Well, so normally I have about $120 in cash on me, which is about $20 in ones and the rest in fives. But for an event like this, I usually bring about 300 and I do a mix of 5s, 10s, and again, I only do like 31s, but Yeah, so I do a larger event because this is such a larger, but usually volume, because this equals my holiday market volume. So
Yeah, because I usually do like I do about the same amount, but I do throw in a few tens in there just because occasionally it's easier to, if someone's buying something that's $10 with a 20, then it's easier
right,
just to slip them a 10. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So just getting all that wrapped up, which it will be good. But that's been what's on my bench this week. What about you?
Well, are we going to talk about your awesome UFO reel that you posted? That looks really good.
Well, I've been posting every single day.
Well,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
magnetic one, the magnetic one. That's the
that
one
one
I'm
was from
talking about.
today. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys are interested in seeing what these lights and the magnetic ones look like, go to my Instagram page. I've been posting every day this past week with as I finish them. And today's post was magnetic levitating one. Yeah, I love them. I think they're really fun. So, and I've, like I said last week, I already have one person who had reached out and said they want to buy one of the magnetic ones. So, which is great. But yeah.
Awesome.
And I'll talk more. Actually, you know what? I'll talk now about it because, yeah. Speaking of UFO Fest, I don't know if you, Alex, did you see the government has, released a whole bunch of files about UFOs and have said, UFOs exist and this is all, here's some files about them and photos and videos and.
I am aware of it. I have not looked at anything specifically just because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, what else does this actually add? It doesn't add too much to the narrative to me, so I'm just like, I don't need to look at it. It's fine. It's fine.
So it's so funny because realistically it adds a lot to the narrative. I mean, the government is saying, yes, alien or UFOs exist. We don't know what these are. They could be extraterrestrials. And they released a whole bunch of
this like 6 months or like a year ago, didn't they?
They did some like whistleblower meetings, but they haven't actually like released government files on it. And this is the first like
okay.
actual like reports from the FBI and Secret Service and videos from Air Force people who have recorded from drones and things like that. So there's some really cool videos. One of my favorite one is there's this big white orb, which is about the size of, say, a school bus that was racing about 500 miles an hour. And it was weaving in and out of the offshore windmills. So it was weaving in between all of them, going 500 miles an hour, which is pretty crazy. So obviously nothing we have that can do that. So that was super cool. And then they have a lot of historical files that they dropped in it too, including some photos from Apollo 16 and Apollo 11, where in the background of those photos, there are lights and different colored lights and shapes of objects in the moon sky, up above the horizon. So things that haven't been released to the public before now. So yeah, it's pretty cool. For somebody who's in the UFO world, it's fun, and hopefully it means more people come to UFO Fest.
And Neil A. Armstrong backwards spells alien, so I mean, should we be surprised?
We should not. Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm excited, and I think like I said, it's the first time the government has released actual files, and some of them are pretty crazy and hard to swallow, which is really interesting. So, and this is only the first batch. They said about 10 to 20 different batches they're going to release. So I think it's just,
it is hard to swallow, just add some more water with it. That paper can be a little bit fibrous.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, especially the old like lead coated paper.
Yeah, the lead ink or whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Alex, what's on your bench this week?
Lots and lots of 3D printing, as you saw already. So I have been going through and filling back up the stock for the farmer's market that I do, because they had last week was the first of those. So that was not the, like, they did it extra early as like a market preview, and then the weekly farmers market starts in June. So this was just a early kind of test run to see if they could get some people. And I did like probably what I would consider like a good day at like the farmer's market. Because what happens is a lot of times I'll save this for the what you selling portion, the more details on that. I'll just talk more about the 3D prints. So some of the things that I've been printing to get ready for when it does start up on a weekly basis. I did get a few hitch covers that I had people request, and I converted over a bunch of hitch covers to a and it's just, instead of just having the hole for a pin, which is annoying, having to print a separate pin, there's a profile that has a it's like a self-locking kind of thing that just kind of like slides through and is spring loaded. So I converted all of the hitch covers that I have to that profile, so I don't have to like keep tabs of pins, because it's just an annoying thing to have to deal with. And then it standardizes it and makes it easier to sell stuff that way, because you don't have to sell a separate pin to go with it if they don't have one and whatnot. So, because what I did find when I did sell them before is that like no one had like a spare pin or whatever. I just thought maybe people that, I'm not a truck person, so I don't know. So I made an assumption that was wrong. So it's like, okay, just make a change.
I mean, I don't sell mine with my pins. They have little clips that just clip in place.
Gotcha. There were some other fun 3D prints, because I have not been 3D printing for a while. So there was a lot of new files that I came across. One of them that was really fun was these were just like normal animals, but you pop in the eyeball, and the eyeball you can move around. So it's like a little flexy animal that's articulated, but you can also like move the eye. So you can do like a really derpy animal where it's like looking off in 2 directions. So that was a lot of fun to print some of those off. And then one that was a lot of fun that I know the child version of myself would have enjoyed the crap out of was, it's this little mortar toy that is, it's just got the little button that you slam down, and then it shoots a little mortar out like 20 feet. If you're pressing like super hard, you can do it really light and just kind of go on the table. But my plan with that one was to have my son play with it and kind of attract attention that way, which it did. And
so
he had a blast.
I recently saw a variation of that uses tennis balls and butane, just kind of like a potato gun. But
Yes, I've seen those as well. A couple of those did pop up, or you can do butane or hairspray or isopropyl alcohol. There's a couple of different accelerants that can be used for that one. I have not ventured into any of those yet. One thing that I did start printing, I didn't have this for the market, but little lawn pinwheels, wind spinner kind of things. I've been finding a lot of really fun models. So one of them that we actually did, that we made as a present for my wife for Mother's Day, was it's Harry Potter on his broom, and then the spinner behind it is the Hogwarts colors.
cool.
So as it spins, it has that in the background. So we'll have to figure out where to actually put this thing. She has a couple of ideas, but I was like, I don't know if you want to put it there, because there's not like nearly as much wind in that area of the house, so you don't get a whole lot of spinning action off of it. So anyway, we'll find something. But there's like a couple of other ones that like there's one where it's that I just recently printed, that's Wile E. Coyote on a rocket with a spinner behind it. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I want to print is it's a scout trooper on the those like speeder bikes that they had on Endor.
I saw that one. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to print off some of those, and that'll be a lot of fun. But I don't know what it was, but apparently they had the print time on that one. Like, I think they had it set to like an H2C or something like that, because I think originally it was like 11 hours. And then when I went to go print it, it was like, this is going to take like 21 hours. So I was like, wait a second. So I thought maybe because originally when I was going to print it, I was going to add a second one, because usually when you've got multicolor prints, if you add a second item, your per item print time goes down like somewhere around 30 to 40% ish. So I was like, oh, maybe I just added too many and it, you know, was going to take too long, but nope, that it was just for one. So I think for two, I think it's like a little over a day to print one of those. So I'm excited for those wind spinners because, I mean, I always end up getting a bunch of wind at my booth somehow. And B, that also adds a little bit of movement. So I think I'm trying to figure out how to display them, because normally on these farmers market, you're on one side of the sidewalk. I'm tempted to just put it on the other side of the sidewalk where there's open space on like a stake of some kind and have like 4 of these per stake or something like that. But yeah, I went through and I found a bunch of different really fun ones. There's some other nice ones that we're gonna one of them we're gonna print for in-laws for a birthday. It's just like these little like flowers, just like normal flower petals with a little smiley face in the middle. So I'm printing a few of those right now. And then we did also print a gnome planter pot for one of my mother-in-laws as a present. And we didn't have, so I hadn't gone through painting 3D prints before, mainly because I'm lazy. I don't want to add the extra time of painting something. That's not my hobby. And so my wife was like, we want to paint this one for her. So I printed out, and it turns out all the paint that we had was the like washable paint. And what you need for like PLA, I'm assuming it's for most of the other filaments, is acrylic paint. So I had to go out and get a primer to spray on top of this. And I don't know, like there was some washable paint that kind of went on to it a little bit. I don't know if it just because it was like, it didn't have the full day, like it had the like dry to touch, but it wasn't like the full day cure. So I don't know if that was part of it. Because it seemed like to go on almost like a little watery and not almost like when you're painting with watercolors where it's like you only get like a hint of color. But some of the, like she painted that, there ended up being some acrylic paint at the mother-in-law's house that she ended up using. And that went on really well. So maybe I'll print off some models for people to do as like activities, because it makes it easy, because if it's a single color print, it prints way faster. So that might end up being something that I start offering. Oh, the other really fun thing that I printed was the have you seen some of the reusable, or not reusable, reloadable drink koozies, where it's like you slam it down and then the empty pop can pops out of the top? So the one that I printed is a shotgun shell. So it can hold 2 standard like aluminum cans. So you drink one off the top, pop it, and then pop the other one off. And my wife's half brother, he does a lot of like trap and skeet shooting. So I just printed that for him just for funsies, because I knew that he would find it fun. So that was a really fun one. There's a couple of other ones that I want to print as well that are just like some that are just like a basic design, and some that are fun like that. Some of them that have the tactical railing like on the sides and all that fun stuff. I'm trying to think. Of course, I printed. I had been looking at helmets and other kinds of like things. So of course, I've got the just like the standard Stormtrooper helmet, and this one was a pain in the butt. Honestly,
it's a big print.
It is a very big print. It was one that had to be done in pieces. Originally, I was going to print one that was an all-in-one print, but that one, like, it was a helmet, but like the eyes were solid on it. So it's like, okay, like you can put it on your head, but you can't see. So that was kind of weird. So I didn't end up printing that one, because that was one that was going to take like 24 hours, but I would much prefer that one over doing the one that I did, because for 2 reasons. One, because I had a couple of issues with some of the bigger pieces delaminating from the print bed, because one of them, it was like maybe an hour or two into the print where it lifted, and originally I thought it was just like the cat's making noises, but it was because the print head was going over that lifted portion and like scraping on it, that I was getting those noises. So I eventually restarted that one, and that was like a 12 and a half, 13-hour print, I think. And when I had it print the second time, it had like 30 minutes left, and one of the two items popped off of the print bed, and I was just like, oh my God. So I had to reprint that one, and it basically took the same amount of time because it was a multicolor print. But then the assembly process of this was a pain in the butt because it's all smooth surfaces, and it's like 8 pieces. So you can't, like, there's no reference points to go off of as I'm gluing on it. So like, I don't know if you can see, like, there's a few gaps that you can see that are in there that are like, probably the worst one is maybe like an 1/8 inch gap, but like there's a couple of spots that you can kind of see where the edges are. So it's like, it's not ideally what I want to have for something that I would sell. I'll probably still have it as like a for sale item, more as like a turn heads, get people to stop by and just look at it kind of scenario. Because honestly, for something like this, like the added labor of assembling it and the time is almost the same for like print time. Like, I don't think it's going to be any cheaper than like an off the shelf existing Stormtrooper helmet. So I'm going to have to find different helmets to do. So there's a couple of Mandalorian helmets that I'm probably going to print since that movie's coming out soon. There's like a really fun tribal print one that I think will look really good in this like brass color filament that I have. So yeah, lots of different things that I've been printing. So I've been trying to expand my variety of stuff that I have options for. So on the 3D print side, that's about everything. And then the other thing that we did was I finally removed that like tree bush stump thing out of our side yard. So, well, actually I removed it from the ground. It's still in the side yard. We still have to like get it off the property, but it's out of the hole, which is the most difficult part. So what we did with that one was like we dug around it, sprayed it with water, let it kind of slough off the extra stuff, and then dug some more like that, like slurry that fell down into the kind of trench that we had around the moat, if you will. And then when I went through with the power washer to basically keep on doing that process, but more intense. And then we eventually went deep enough that then I hooked up the ratchet straps to pull the stump out. So that's the short version of that story. I got most of it. I ended up recording. So I'll have to edit together a quick reel for that stuff. And I feel you for your issues with your eye, because when I was like throwing crap back into this like pit of like sloshy water, I got some splashes and I got like mud splashed like directly into my eye, and it was gritty and it sucked. So
have you had your tetanus shot recently?
Within the last 10 years, so I should be good.
Okay, good. 7 years.
So
yeah.
It's fine. I'm all right. Let's see.
That should have been in the Whatcha Breakin section. Just saying.
Well, I can transition to the Whatcha Breakin section.
Fine. Well, let's do that.
Help is on the way, dear!
So speaking of tetanus, my son was at a different field trip. He like tripped and like got the upper portion of his knee slashed by barbed wire, and it like cut. And so they like, because it's kind of in that area of like the femoral artery, they like put a tourniquet around him. I was, where was I? I think I was gone at a track meet. Yes, I was at the track meet. Because my wife called me, she texted me, she's like, you need to call me right away. I was like, so she tells me all of this stuff, and so she took him into the ER, and he ended up having 16 stitches. So it was just like a horizontal cut, like left to right, like 3 or 4 inches above the knee, and it was like probably 3 inches wide. So he was very brave, didn't really cry at all, apparently. And he was the talk of the school as well as like the talk of the town.
Oh, really?
Because like everyone was like, is Peter okay? Like, is he doing all right? He's like, yeah, he's doing good. He got it all sewn up. He got 16 stitches. Like, so now he's at least got a cool story to tell everyone. But like it cut deep enough. Like, I don't think it got down. Like it didn't. I don't think it affected any muscles, but it definitely got into like the fatty tissue, where you get that like deep red color. So anyway, he was very brave and did well, and I made sure to tell my wife to go let him get whatever he wants for supper, and if he wants ice cream. He turned down ice cream, though, because he wanted something else. I don't remember what it is that he wanted, but I was like, all right, Dad offered ice cream. Like, I'm doing everything that I can here. Like, so there was that, and then the other thing that I had was, so right after we had finished our last recording of the podcast, when I was going to get my laptop, I have it set on like, call it like a makeshift stand. And I went to grab it and it slipped, and the corner of my laptop went directly onto the concrete on the ground. And I was just like, oh my God. So thankfully, all I have is this huge, like, gritty, like, gash kind of thing on the corner. It didn't cause any issues. It can still close all the way, which is good. So I was like, cosmetically, I don't care as long as it functions properly. So that was a little oh shit moment. And then let's see. Of course, I had a couple of 3D printing snafu things that happened. One of them being, I did a hitch cover of Bullet Bill from the Mario universe. And I still had a thing of Pet G that's clear. So it selected the clear Pet G instead of the white.
Oh no. It didn't look good.
So that, no, it would have looked okay. But like with the fill and everything, like it just didn't have the contrast. So, so I stopped that print, and honestly, I probably should have tried to stop it like right when it had done the last layer of like the back before it may have looked weird with the tow hitch that goes in, because like I could have made coasters out of them, but it was still doing the infill when I had stopped it to restart that print. So that would have been nice, but I begrudgingly tossed those in the trash. I need to toss stuff in the trash because I hoard things. The other print thing that I had was so those little derpy eye things. I think they technically call them goofy eyes, but I like to call them derpy eyes. I was trying to make one of them look more like a friend's pet. So I had selected the fuzzy skin or exterior option on there to like add a little bit more fluffiness to it, since their dog's fur was kind of like that curly texture. And I didn't think about this until it was like 80% done, was like, oh, that's going to screw up the tolerances on popping those eyeballs in there. So the eyeballs didn't pop in because it didn't, like, they were to begin with a tight tolerance, and then the head snapped onto the body, and I couldn't for the life of me get the body back on, so, or the head to snap onto the body. So I ended up tossing those as well. So that was a mistake on my part, but I learned how to use the fuzzy function. I probably should have learned a little bit more about it to see if I could have gotten it to go on certain surfaces. Honestly, that probably would have only taken like 5 minutes to learn that, if that, but I was just being lazy. And I just hit all surfaces and called it good. And then I did have a couple of, like, I had some really weird filament jams, because normally I have not had filament break off when it's retracting and get stuck in the print head. And I had that happen twice on me. And I think what might have happened was I had left out a lot of this filament, and so I think some of it had become brittle, and so it just snapped off, and so I had to go back and um, remove the moisture by heating it up in the filament dryer to get that to work just fine. So that I haven't had any issues since then, so I'm hoping that that was the main issue that I had. So it had been a while since I had torn apart the printhead, so I did go back through and look at the videos on disassembly and everything like that, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So, but overall, no like huge issues. I did have, it was on one of the last pieces of the Stormtrooper helmet. It was like I think it was a 14-hour print that had two of the more complex pieces where, this is an issue that pops up with the P1S occasionally, is that if you have any type of poop chute for that, and if something gets stuck, it can glob and then it can go on the surface, and then it can pop off the because the face of the print head has like magnets on it, and so then it pauses the print, which can be annoying. And so I had this huge glob of filament poop from it changing colors. That like I had to go in and like cut with some side cutters parts of it off so I could actually get it to pop through, because I have a little aftermarket piece that I had on there that helps clean the nozzle of the extruder. So that wasn't fun, but I got it done. So yeah, that's all the crap I've been breaking. How about you?
You know, luckily things went well. Wrapping up the UFO stuff. I mean, the only thing that I would say I broke is I just kept misjudging how many of the little trees and cows and stuff I was going to need. So I went ahead and had to make like a couple of different Amazon orders for them to arrive. But yeah, that went well. I will note for our listeners, if you didn't catch it at the end of the last episode, so I am going to be out the next 2 weeks with a leg surgery. Nothing major, just getting some varicose veins taken care of, so easy peasy. But just wanted to let you know that we will have no episode next week, and then the week after, Alex will be here with a special guest, and then I will be back just in time for the beginning of June. So yeah, just wanted to let you know that. On that note,
the price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah, so selling. So I already said I like last week, I already sold one of the floating UFOs, or at least the guys committed to come get it. What's also cool is somebody reached out right after recording the podcast last week. They wanted first dibs on the light up UFOs that I made, and I'm actually meeting them tomorrow. They're going to buy 3 of them because they're not going to make it to the UFO fest, but they wanted 3 of the big ones. So there's 3 of them already sold, which is huge. I mean, it basically already covers the booth fee, which is great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. That's me though. It's all I've sold.
So I had mentioned that I had the early preview of the farmer's market, which I said previously it had gone pretty darn well. So because of like scheduling stuff and weird things that happened, I ended up showing up a little bit late. So like I was still setting up when everything was like open, but I wasn't super concerned about it because it was not the normal time that event would typically happen. So I was like, I'll probably be fine, because as people start seeing that this is set up, they'll come up and I'll get more business in the later hours of this time window, which for the most part turned out to be true. And I would say that it would probably compared to like one of the better days of the farmer's market. And I think that's mainly because people have not started their vacations and traveling much. So I think the attendance was still pretty good. And people hadn't already like completely used up their, vacation fun money budget already. So we got some good traffic out of that. And I got some, I didn't sell any hitch covers at this particular event. Like I sold a bunch at the last time that I had an event, which was at a Christmas event. Um, but I did get some requests for some custom hitches for a particular design that people had wanted. So, and honestly, for me, the customizing the hitch covers is a relatively easy process. I mean, there's still a little bit of stuff that goes into it, but I've gotten it streamlined so far. And some of that is thanks to Bamboo updating their Bamboo Studio that is in the laptop. So now, because like some of their like Bamboo Labs features that they have for like either generating models or other things, they've actually integrated directly into Bamboo Studio, which previously that was its own thing via browser. So, and I don't know, it's been a while since I had gotten on here, obviously a couple of months. And I think I'm technically on like a beta version, so I don't know if this is the beta version only, but like if you're in the or the Bamboo Studio app on the laptop, like not only does it allow you to do everything you normally do with editing your prints and sending those out, but it brings in all of the Maker World aspects, so you can search and then download the file, so you don't have to have a separate window open for doing that. And so it's been fairly handy to have that, where it's like you're pulling in a file, and then you're just in the app already, and you're good to go. And then with the Bamboo Lab stuff in there, like if I'm generating a keychain of some kind for someone, it's super easy to do that all within that single desktop app. So I do like how they've updated that, and I think it's very nice so far. And then I have made I did make a couple of changes to my setup for this first market. So one thing that I did was I tried to take away things that didn't work or weren't working to streamline things, and try and make setup faster. So like I took away some of the small items that didn't make sense, and like now most of my stuff is like at least $5. Like I took away a lot of like the $2 and $3 items that are just like taking up extra space and take extra time to set up. So things like straw toppers, croc gibbet type things, string stoppers on sweatshirts. It was like, those were cool, but they didn't really drive that much revenue, and the amount of effort that it took to like set them up and space that they took, I was like, I'd rather put something that's better margin on the table in place of that. And the other thing that I worked on, so I have these keyring things that have the little swivel kiosk type things for the keyrings. There's like 6 prongs, if I remember right. And it's always a pain in the butt to transport these things, because either you have to take all the stuff off and then put it on, or you leave it on, and when you hit bumps, especially me being on like a crappy brick road where I live, it like shakes it everywhere, and then they just fall off willy-nilly, and then you have to go like get like a quarter of all of them that fall off. So I finally figured out that I could use a rubber band over the top and then let it kind of snap together, and it holds all those keychains in, so the actual ring, the metal ring, does not slide back over the hook anymore. So that was very nice, because like when it comes down to it, it's like you don't want to be spending time setting up and taking down and adding extra hours of labor. You want to be actually selling your stuff and interacting with customers. So I've been trying to do some of that, and that's partially with my setup too, with like the hitch covers. Like I set those up and I slip those into the it's like that square wire cage kind of stuff that you see people with like jewelry and clothes and stuff on there to like make it display easier. And then I have more vertical space, so I don't have as much horizontal space that I have to set up as well. So that was good as well. So I'm getting to the stage where I have like a much better process for setting up this farmer's market, since this is now the second year that I'm actually doing it. So anyway, that's kind of the summary of my selling this past week.
Alrighty, well then, makers, we've been shouting or want to shout out this week. So I'm going to start with Four River Studio. Our lovely friends over there, Hadil posted a video today that just made me laugh because it just starts with "I have a problem," and then it's basically her showing her completely dirty garage, which I commented on there. I said, "Are you sure you're not in my shop? Because that looks like my shop." Which she said made her feel better. But so she's going to do a whole series of videos on them organizing and cleaning their shop and stuff, which I'm all here for because that's
Hoarders,
satisfying. Yeah, it's very satisfying to see it go from a mess to a clean shop. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, that's my first one.
The one that I just haven't been doing a lot of scrolling through, or as much scrolling through Instagram stuff. But I have one from Joni Sprague. So she had a Mother's Day post. So she had done a partnership with Cenex on a giveaway on some of their, I want to say it was like a battery powered leaf blower or something like that is what the giveaway is for, and maybe some other garden tools. And so she did this whole thing with like, do women do yard work? It's like, hell yeah. And so she's got this like, I don't know why, but she wore this like dress that reminded me of, is it Galadriel or whatever in Lord of the Rings, the one elf that like does future predictions. It just gave me that vibe, and I was just like, it just instantly made me think of that. But yeah, just a really fun, well put together reel that was enjoyable to watch.
Nice. My next one is Chelsea Van Vuugeris. Sure, Vanvoorgis. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. But she made a really cool wooden art piece that is about butts. It literally, and I'll show a photo of it here. It's literally just some book matched pieces, but it just looks like a butt. Somebody leaned over and made a butt.
Oh, I did see that one. And that was the one that I was thinking of earlier.
Yeah, in the song, and she's like in the video, she's holding it next to her butt and stuff. And but the song that she's playing with it is "Buttholes Are Not to Be Laughed At," which is just hysterical. So I thought that was really funny. And then lastly, I wanted to shout out your K Jess.
Or a K Jess?
Yeah. Sorry,
I was going to say Urakai, but it's different.
EUH, Jess, made this beautiful tray with mountains and trees on it. And I put on here, I have no idea how she made it, laser, wood burning, whatever. I think I figured it out from her other style or other posts. I think she paints wood stain. So she uses wood stain to paint this, and it's just uses all the natural different colors of wood to make the mountains and trees, and it's really, really pretty. So I haven't ever seen anybody painting with stain before, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, great job. And very quickly in through that area, so moving straight on to...
You know, I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
So tonight's main topic is finding your niche. Now, if that's a shark with laser beams, or if that's UFOs and Sasquatches, we want to talk about how do you find your niche? What does that mean? How do you lean into it? And so on. So real quick, for me, like, you all know me, we talk about this in the beginning of this video, like, I'm UFO and Sasquatch guy. Like, people, if they go Duffey Woodcraft, what's your brand? It's UFO and Sasquatch. Like, that's just what it is. That was not what my niche was going to be when I got started. I really thought it was just going to be like I was doing the sanding thoughts with Duffey. I thought it was just going to be like me doing funny facts and sanding and that kind of thing. And then for my products, like, my niche was just going to be products you use in your around your home, and that's it. And so I hadn't planned on coming into the UFO and the Sasquatch world. But as you see the photos behind me, like I'm into sci-fi movies. I'm a goofy dude. I love going down the YouTube rabbit hole at 2 a.m. looking at whatever conspiracy theory has come up this week. It's a lot of fun. And so I learned that early on. So when I started making a few products that were Sasquatch or UFO related, they sold, and they sold well. And so I kind of kept leaning into it, and I've grown that ever since. And now most of my products have a Sasquatch on it or have some kind of UFO, related thing. And it's done well, and that's become my niche. And so what I'm trying to say is you don't have to pick one right out the gate. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend, start making products, start finding what you're good at making, right? So like for me, I originally started doing wood turning and making wooden bowls and doing that. I've learned very quickly on, I did not want to do those. They don't sell well, at least in my experience from what I made. My quality is not as good as some of the masters out there for sure. But I couldn't mass produce them to make it worth my time for selling. And then, so I started doing CNC projects and doing board games, and that became a niche of mine. My next niche is board games, and it still is today, but I have adapted those board games because I know at this point I make board games and I make household items, and I like those products and I make them over and over again. But to make myself stand out at the market where there's 50 other makers with cribbage boards, or other people with coffee scoops and whiskey smokers, how do I adapt my products to stand out and be sold? And so I've done that by adding Sasquatch or a UFO or something Pacific Northwest related to my products. And that's as easy as my cribbage boards in the middle. I've created an inlay with some trees and a mountain and a Sasquatch walking by, and I fill that with epoxy. And that's then niched down into my board games, but also my Sasquatch. So for me, it's really getting started by figuring out what you want, what you like to make. Once you figure that out, then it kind of just makes sense to start with what interests you. Again, sci-fi is what interests me, so that's where I went. If you're into soccer, use soccer as your thing. Make a cribbage board around different soccer players or different soccer stadiums and things like that. Like there are so many different products that you can adapt. If you're into fishing, I love making a bass shaped fish board or a salmon fish cribbage board or things like that. There are so many different things that you can drill down within a product. So start with what you like, because if you like it, then you're going to continue with it. If you need product ideas, come up again with those products that you currently make, go on to Google and then type in your product and whatever your interest is. So if I do cribbage board and soccer, and then see what comes up on Google, and that will give you some ideas of some ways to adapt your product to that in the image search. And then
you can also just make stuff for yourself. And if you post it, you can get traction that way. Cause like I've done that stuff for myself where it's like, my son and I love Pokemon stuff. So like we 3D printed a bunch of Pokemon stuff, and I'm like, if it doesn't sell, then I have a bunch of Pokemon stuff. Cool. If it does, then great. And that's like, cause like, that's one of the reasons, like I printed this giant Charizard is like, it's fun. It's a big standout conversation piece. And like, I sell one every now and again. But it started off as like, we just wanted to make stuff that we thought was cool and we enjoyed, and we offered that for sale. And if it doesn't, then you have it. And because you already like it, then it's fine. And you have your own, decor item or your own toy or what have you. So there's a lot of people who have started off like that many times where they're like, oh, I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made this thing specifically for me. And then when they posted it, they got a bunch of interest from many people who were like, hey, can you make me one of those? So sometimes solving your own problems or making your own products for your own interests can be that starting point for you.
Yeah.
And because it's something that you like and you would have, if it, you know, if it sits and doesn't sell, you can still at least get some use out of it. As opposed to if you don't drink whiskey and you make like 100 whiskey smokers, but they're too, they don't sell in your area or whatever. You're not just out a bunch of whiskey smokers,
Right.
because you don't, drink any whiskey. Although you probably wouldn't need 100 whiskey smokers just for yourself. But I digress.
Well, and if you are looking to sell, and that's kind of where I was going at, is if you're looking to sell, I wouldn't go all in on any one thing either. Like I would say, plan 4 different designs or 4 different products, and in that niche, in that thing, along with whatever you normally make too. And if they do sell well, make a couple of each of those products. If they do sell well, then you know that, yep, I'm going to move forward with that, and I'll make some more and see if they then sell out again. If they don't sell, then you know that you've only wasted maybe 2 things you've created, and you haven't put a lot of effort into it. But I do always stress start small, then move up. So, because you don't want to go all in on something like you were saying with 100 whiskey smokers, and now you're stuck with them. So start small, and it's okay to sell out.
Yeah, it's okay if you have a little bit of inventory that sits for a little while, because sometimes stuff just isn't in fashion or in high demand, and maybe it comes around the next year when you put it out again and you pull something out of deep storage that ends up selling again. Because to echo that point of like trying something and seeing how it goes, like anyone who has followed the progression of me selling 3D prints, like we started with me and my son just taking it to his like swim meet, and we put up on a table and we just had some cardboard boxes with, we wrote on Sharpie how much each thing was, and we made a couple of small things that he liked. And we just added 1 or 2 different types of things from there. And we found out what worked and what didn't work at these different events. And like I'm now doing new stuff that I wouldn't have tried before, like the wind spinner things. Like that was not even on my radar last year. And like bougie bird feeders right now, because like I saw a model that was like a grain silo in a barn for a bird feeder. I'm like, hell yeah, that's gonna sell in my rural region where there's a lot of farming activity. So that's one thing where it's like I could see that farming well, and if not, like I'm gonna have a cool bird feeder in the backyard. And so like yeah, just start off with each category, and if something doesn't work, I mean, obviously give it some time, but don't be afraid to like axe it after a couple of shows. Because like I was talking earlier, where it's like, well, I sell a few earrings and I sell a few croc gibbets and the like hoodie stoppers, but like they're very, very small dollar items. I didn't sell very many, and it took up the same amount of space as something that, was like a $10, $20, $30 item on the table. So I'm like, you know what? I know I could probably sell a couple of these, but I think I'm going to try something different, and try a different product and rotate into that space. Because like, I mean, there's only so much real estate that you have when you're selling something, whether it's at a store or at a in-person event. I mean, if you're on an online platform selling stuff, you've got a few more options on there. But like, even if you're on Etsy, like, and it costs you to have a certain number of listings on there, it's like, well, if something isn't performing, then take it off and put something else on, and maybe that listing comes back later on in a year or 2, and see if it comes back in vogue or does better in a different market.
Yeah, absolutely. And look for, I also then, once you've got your products, once you figure that out, another suggestion I would have is look for events that fit that niche that in your area. So like, let's say you go down the route of soccer. I'm going to use that as an example. You know, find
Football for our
a
international
soccer.
listeners.
Yep. Find an event that is around, you know, their spring training or something, your local team, and see. And a lot of times they'll do fundraiser events that you can do a craft fair at. Another good one is if maybe your niche is kooky, spooky or not spooky, you know, vampire and ghost stuff. There are lots and lots of Halloween markets, but that go all year round. They're called oddity markets. So that's another good one to look at if that's kind of your gig. If you're into technology and you want to make, you know, I don't know, a robotic robot, a wooden robot, who knows? You know, there are lots of different, you know, STEM and other markets throughout the year. So there are plenty of opportunities to drill down into your area. You just got to put in the time to look for it, but I guarantee you it's there.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, just like enjoy your hobbies and areas of interest, because sometimes there is a little bit of crossover. Because, like you said, with like, you know, the UFO and Sasquatch stuff, like that particular amount of branding that goes into, or not branding, but that stylistic approach on a normal item makes someone want that even more. I mean, it's not going to appeal to your wider general audience, but it becomes a much more interesting thing for that person who, like, that's their, you know, thing that they absolutely love. Because, like, if you've got, you know, people that love animals or other stuff, I mean, there's all sorts of different fandoms and other things that you can go down to make really interesting stuff. And
absolutely,
on a slightly different angle, like when I started out with a lot of my stuff, like my area of focus was originally on super large items, because I was like, okay, there's a lot of people who have like small turning setups and make small widgets and other things. I don't want to compete against those. I want to do larger stuff because not everyone has the tools to handle larger stuff. And I got some stuff on there, but there was a little bit of throughput capacity on there and slower turnaround time, especially when tariff stuff happened and whatnot. People's buying habits changed a little bit. So when I looked into diversifying stuff, that's how I kind of came across doing more of the 3D printing stuff. And of course, now with the adding the CNC, I'm excited to get it up and running to make some stuff with it. But also with the laser engraving that I do as well, doing some personalized aspect of making those items much more appealing to a certain audience, because instead of something just being like bland, it's something that's like kooky and fun. So like taking a normal thing, like, I don't know, my wife had mentioned this recently. I don't make any of these, but she was like, oh yeah, there's these like downspout like mouths that you put on it so it looks like, you know, a fish is like shooting a bunch of water out of its mouth or something like that. So it's just like normal everyday things and make them something from that's just functional to like looks fun, and overlaps with some area of interest with the people that you have access to for that market. And sometimes that market, if you're online, can be people who have similar interest in you, but it can also be people that may not have the same interest as you, but maybe there's a big market for it in your particular area. Because like for some people, like there's a lot of like Harley and other like car enthusiasts in the area, and it's like I myself am not like a hardcore car enthusiast. Like I like cars and vehicles and things, but I wouldn't call myself an enthusiast. But I'll print stuff, and like I don't have a pickup, but I understand that people like hitch covers. So that's something that that I can do for other people that I don't necessarily have. So you can definitely still go that route of something that may not be like, you may not be within your target audience. It might take a little more experimenting to understand that particular market as well. And then one other thing that popped up was other types of shows that I'm thinking of is there's always lots of lawn and garden shows that happen, which could potentially be a feast or famine for someone if you're doing like, if you want to do outdoor patio stuff, or outdoor furniture, or things that people use for, around the fireplace or whatnot. Because obviously, let's see, is it up by like Minnesota where there's like a lot of like boating and lake culture? I think in that area, there's a little bit here in Nebraska. It's more a little bit out west, but that's another market where like it's just all about relaxing and having fun, and people like to accessorize their lake house in some form or fashion. And so tapping into, if you have a market similar to like that where something is really big in your area, I'll give you a super random one that I don't know if there's any type of crossover, but like something that a lot of people in my area do is referred to as tanking. Are you familiar with tanking, Mr. Duffey?
I am not familiar with tanking. What is this?
So what people do,
like
and this is, no, it is not. So what people will do is they will go generally more like in north central Nebraska, kind of in the sand hills. People will take literally like the cattle water tank. You will put that in the river as a flotation device, and then you have a cooler of beer and you just float down the river is what people do. So
Okay.
it's something that's like very specific to my region as far as I'm aware. That like, I don't know, maybe there's some accessories that people like. I've personally never gone tanking. But there might be something that people like to use or accessories that they like to have when they go on these excursions that make it more enjoyable or more fun. And sometimes just learning more about that will spark some ideas where like, oh yeah, this would be a good thing to have for this event, or this activity that people have.
Neat.
So yeah, maybe sometime we can go tanking together.
I would enjoy
in the near
that.
future. Yeah, it would be. I'm too high strung right now with a bunch of stuff to float down a river in a cattle tank for a day.
You high strung? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love floating. River floating is the best. So, by the way, a shout out to another just maker creator. If you watch Man Plus River on YouTube, it's actually really fun to watch. He goes and does snorkeling underneath the people that are or scuba diving underneath the people that are floating down the river, and he finds all the crap that they drop, like cell phones and lighters.
Oh,
and all
I
that
have seen stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think it's like
fun.
cameras and stuff.
Yeah. It's fun when he's able to, like, especially with phones, able to find the owner and get it back to him. And some of them,
I remember
been down
seeing
there
one.
for
It may not have
years.
been them, but I think it was just like a point and shoot camera from God knows like 10 years ago or something like that. And they actually they went back and repaired the SD card and were able to get pictures off of it.
That's
and
him.
Find the owner. Is that him?
That's him. Yep. And it was like a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Well, enough talking from us.
Good news, everyone.
So events coming up. If you're listening to this, it's already passed, but the Midwest Maker Meetup. Hope it was fun for those who got to go.
The best time.
It was the best time. You're going to go, right?
Yeah. I'll be there.
Okay. So I look forward to hearing about it. Again, no podcast on May 27th. Back for June 3rd with a special guest. And then really the next event isn't until August, which is IWF in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And reminder, the tickets for the Texas Woodworking Festival are on sale currently. I will be there and I'm going to be teaching a class. So if you want to learn more about CNC and designing products in bulk, come join me.
Once you have found your niche, right?
Yeah, of course.
You bulk it out once you found your niche and what sells.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be around all weekend. So if you want to talk and sit down and pick my brain, I'm happy to do so. There's a nice hangout area at Texas and we can just hang out and pick our brain and even maybe go grab some whiskey somewhere too, which, because it's Texas.
Or you could go tanking down a river and just have a good old time.
Yep. Absolutely. Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you so much for listening today. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something a little educational. As always,
in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
Live long and prosper.